Alright, let's talk about inequalities in triangles, two triangles. So here I got lines and they form a triangle. The interior of the triangle angles are 1, 2, and 3. If I wanted the angle with the greatest measure of the four I got listed there, if you look, the interior angles, they're all acute. Don't know what the angle measures are, but we know they're all acute just by looking at them. But you have this angle 4 here, which is supplementary to angle 1. So that means angle 4 has to be greater than 90 degrees. So angle 4 has the greatest measure. It's also called the exterior angle. Alright, so let's say we have 3 points. And we want to know the angle with the greatest measure. Well, if you know the measure of the sides, so let's say this is 90 feet, this is 98 feet, and this is 102 feet. We'll name our angles 1, 2, and 3. Whatever side has the greatest length will have the greatest measure. So angle 1 is the largest angle because it corresponds to the 102 side. So since 102 is the longest side, then angle 1 has to be the greatest angle. Alright, now let's talk about how you can make a triangle. So let's say we have a triangle here, and what could those sides be? Well, there's a rule when it comes to triangles. So let's say this is 9, this is 2, and this is 12. Does that make a triangle? Well, what you do is take your two shortest sides, 2 and 9, and you add them up. That has to be greater than or equal to your longest side, which is 12. So 2 plus 9 is 11. 11 greater than or equal to 12 is not true. So those measurements cannot form a triangle. So let's change this. Let's say instead of a 2, that was a 7. So let's try it now. 7 plus 9 is greater than or equal to 12. 7 plus 9 is 16. 16 is greater than 12, so that one will work. Alright, so now let's get into working with two triangles. So I have a quadrilateral there, cut in half to form two different triangles. You'll notice that two sides are equal, and then these angles, I got 42 degrees and then 3x plus 6, they project to these sides. So 42 degrees is 12, and then the 3x plus 6 projects to 9. So I know that 42 degrees projects to 12, so that has to be greater than the 3x plus 6. So the 3x plus 6 has to be less than 42 degrees. So I can solve this, subtract 6 from both sides. I get 3x is less than 36, divide by 3. So x is less than 12. But we have to get a range because we know it's less than 12, but we have to know what it's greater than. Well, there's a rule that an angle can't be 0. So 3x plus 6 has to be greater than 0. Because if you had an angle of 0, you wouldn't have an angle. So we subtract 6 from both sides. So you get 3x is greater than negative 6. Divide by 3. Negative 6 divided by 3 is negative 2. So x has to be greater than 2. So the answer to what 3x plus 6 is x is greater than 2 but less than 12. So you have to do two different steps on this. You got to find what it's greater than and what it's less than. Alright, we're going to do one more. So again, I got a quadrilateral cut in half to form two triangles. And I'm given certain information. So AD equals CD. So AD equals CD. And then ADB is greater than BDC. So this angle right here is greater than this angle right here. Alright, so let's write a proof for this. So AD equals CD, that's given. Then we know BD equals BD based on the reflexive property. It's the same line, so it has to be equal. Then we know that angle ADB is greater than angle BDC. That was given. So that means that AB here has to be greater than BC based on the hinge theory. I know I haven't talked about that yet, but what the hinge theory says is that if the angle is greater, then the corresponding side is going to be greater. We've talked about it, I just haven't introduced the hinge theory yet. So, anytime the angle is greater, the side corresponding to it is going to be greater based on the hinge theory.